How you doing, guys? This is Terry with Green Dot Defense and Awareness Training. This is my intro to YouTube. I am a licensed instructor, um, and I really have a need to know and understand how things work. So that kind of drives me in that direction. I do have 15 years in construction experience. I have 20 years experience in the golf field, and I'm going to bring you guys whatever it is that I've picked up on in my journey. And, hopefully I can help some folks here and make some friends because I understand that, community is very important. And the more community we have to draw on, the stronger we are as people. The more we have to bring to the table and to offer others, and the more relationships that we can help forge for people that may not know each other and could benefit from that relationship. So, um, we're in an interesting time, and there's a lot going on. I was talking to my son last night, and realizing like how different we grew up from each other. Um, when I was coming up in high school, we didn't have internet, and I might be telling my age, but I mean it is what it is. I'm Gen X, so um, my first computer class was senior year, maybe junior year in high school, and yeah, there was no internet, bro. Like, it's it's a different world in one generation, essentially, and I can't imagine, the world that his children are going to grow up in and how much different that's, how different that's going to look. Um, but I think what will always be important is that we don't allow the media or the narrative to continue to push us too far in the direction of being individuals, and understanding that our strength lies in community, our strength lies in each other, and everybody offers something different that people may or may not need but may like to have. And it's the way we're designed. We are we're designed to thrive in numbers, right? And we're in a world where the idea of um, multitasking and being able to wear all of these hats are supposed to increase our value, when I personally believe that if you have one or two things that you do extremely well, you're more valuable in those areas than 10 other people who dabble in those areas, because the one thing that they do can't pay all the bills, and if they need three jobs and six side hustles in order to make things work. Just talk to people. you know it's interesting how as I'm out and maneuvering, how everybody seems to have like blinders on as they're going about their business, and it's concerning. um, and one thing that I learned from my father was that um, cultivating as many personal relationships with different people as you possibly can is highly beneficial. you know and he was always the guy that wanted to know, not only how you were doing, but how your kids were doing, um, how your spouse was doing, how you're doing professionally, how you're doing personally. Are you okay? you know and I think we've been missing some of that, by and large, for a long time, I've noticed that it gets increasingly worse. Um, Sometimes when I get approached randomly, um, for people that need help, whether it be at the gas station or at a drive-through, and I'm noticing a drastic uptick in people just like out asking for help, asking for assistance, right? Like it's everywhere. And um, what seems to be missing is that the majority of us that are just out here doing what we can do are struggling too. And we have mouths to feed at home, right? So if you're just out and you're maneuvering your day and you can't go in and out of Home Depot without two or three people trying to get in your pocket, not aggressively, but one way or another. It's just like, it's seeing the signs is concerning. Seeing the if you're paying attention, I've noticed a pretty dramatic uptick in that in the past, I don't know, 4 years at least. But even more, over a longer period of time. So people are not doing well. People are struggling and people are competing for resources, and the resources are becoming more expensive, and the opportunities are not growing with that. So the disparity is real, and we need each other. We need each other. We need to drive some change in the way things are done. Like me personally, I can't understand why you have all of these areas in inner cities where you've got parks, you've got bushes, shrubbery, you've got trees, but you don't have any trees that bear fruit. Um, you could you could really knock the hunger issue upside the head if you just planted some trees that bear fruit. I mean, why does everything has to cost something? It's the level of control that's been implemented over us by and large. Is things really really need to change. And that change needs to be collective in us, in our mindset, in the way that we treat each other, in the way that we view things. Like there's there's a lot more that keeps us in line with each other than there is that separates us, for sure, right? Like we're driven by many of the same basic instincts. And I personally can't see how we are as divided as we are if people really, really just look at each other instead of the messaging. And I think that part is important. So I think I've babbled long enough. Like, comment, and subscribe if you made it here this far. We'll be back. See you next time.